Hello, hello! Welcome back to another speed build. Today you will be traveling back in time with me to the 1960s as I'm building a 1960s era modernist house. I decided I wanted to go with the modernist style as opposed to mid-century modern because the game seems to be overly saturated already with mid-century modern EA builds, like especially in Oasis Springs. The majority of Oasis Springs is already mid-century modern. So I wanted to do something a little different. So I picked modernist instead, which the big difference between modernist and mid-century modern is modernist leans more towards a little plainer, a lot of concrete, a lot of white, but it still focuses on like the angles and the sleek lines that you see in mid-century modern, just more of that. Think like 1960s, what their idea of the future would be like, very space agey type stuff, like what they thought of back then. I originally built this in Del Sol Valley on the Bailey-Moon Monor lot, which, funny side note, for me to remember what lot I was building on for this when I would like save it and go back in later, because I don't just sit and like build a house, especially one this big, and you can tell by the length of the video. Grab a snack, grab something to drink. This one is a big build. But I completely lost my train of thought. I do that a lot. Anywho. Oh, fun fact, or maybe not, I don't know. I thought it was funny that for me to remember what lot I was building on, I kept referring this to as the Sailor Moon lot, and it has nothing to do with Sailor Moon at all. But anyway, there's that. So I really had a love-hate relationship with this build because I wanted to do something big. I don't do big very often for residential lots. Mainly when I do something on a larger scale, it's a community lot. So this is one of my first really big residential lots. I did do one in Santa Gloria a couple years ago that was, I think it was like 4 or 5 bedrooms. So like it was a larger house, but I don't know. This one just felt bigger to me. It might not be. This one ends up with 6 bedrooms and like 7 or 8 bathrooms, because as you'll see later, we do a pool. And so I put like a little pool house out there, which is basically just a little building with 2 bathrooms in it. And I felt like just for convenience of playing, it might be nice to have that out there because it is a little bit of a trek from the pool back into the house. So I thought that would be nice. But I stuck with the very white, very plain, very not decorated outside for the modernist look. But then inside of it, I decided to do very traditional 60s. Lots of platforms, unnecessary platforms, and very bright, colorful inside. Not colors that I would particularly choose, because it's like greens and browns and oranges and yellows, what was popular at the time, which are all colors that I really don't care for. Although I've been on this kick lately to build you haven't seen yet, but it's eventually going to go up because I'm kind of remodeling it to work with the businesses and hobbies pack. But I've been on this kick of doing like emerald green. And before I did a whole lot of like minty green with pink. And I think those colors they complement each other so well. I love the minty green and pink, but like the emerald green lately, emerald greens and like shades of blue, I've been really into that. But on this build, I tried to stick with the 60s style inside because I want it to look like this. You are in a house in the 1960s. So this is going to be part of my decades playlist of decades builds. I don't know that any of my decades builds are actually specifically correct for the actual decades challenge, but I just like doing decade builds. I like researching what the architecture was like and the decorating styles, and it's fun for me. It's a little bit different than just building residentials because I really enjoy building community lots more than residential lots. So the decades builds gives me a chance to do a residential build that's interesting to me. But like I said, I had a love-hate relationship with this build. It took me way longer than it should have to get it finished because I absolutely do not like the 1960s aesthetic. Almost as much as I don't like the 1970s aesthetic. And I think that comes from being an 80s baby and growing up in a house that was very much still decorated with stuff from the 1960s and the 1970s. So I just it makes me gag. It just really does. One of the things I knew I wanted to do on this house, though, and this is why I had a love-hate relationship with it, because I love how this pool turned out. And I do kind of love the architecture of the outside of the house and some of the features inside. But I wanted to try to do with this lot the way it just kind of cuts off at the back of this hill and overlooks the rest of Del Sol Valley like it would in like the Hollywood Hills. I wanted to try to do somewhat kind of an infinity pool moment back here in the back. And I really liked the way this turned out. However, placing all these little waterfalls took way longer than it should have. And then I decided I wanted to change like one little thing. And it as the game does, it decided to suck all these little waterfalls back into the platform. And I cut that part out. I had to go back through and delete them all because I couldn't find them to move them and replace them again. So like I struggled way more than I should have with all the waterfalls, but I love the way it turned out. I think this pool looks so cute. I really do love it. But I don't know. I spent a lot of time working on this pool, more time than I should have. But anyway, I do that in a lot of my builds. I was thinking about maybe starting my Twitch channel again. I haven't streamed on Twitch in like 4 years or so, but I was thinking of maybe doing some building streams where like you can watch me struggle with these things in real time. I don't know if that would be interesting to anybody or not, but I thought about maybe doing that. It's a thing I'm considering. I'm not sure if I want to do that or not. It all stemmed from we got new bookshelves for the office area, and I'm finally able to unpack our books and DVDs and Blu-rays. Yeah, we moved into this house 2 years ago and that still hadn't been done yet. And when I was unpacking all that stuff and organizing it in the new bookshelf, I found the capture card that I used to use to stream on Twitch, which I needed that because I did a lot of console gaming when I streamed on Twitch. And when I streamed on the PS4, I had to have a capture card to record what I was doing and send it to stream. And that's how that worked. I wouldn't need the capture card now because I play on PS5. And the good thing about PS5 is you can record your gameplay and or stream your gameplay right on PS5. which has made building a lot easier. So, I wouldn't need the capture card, but that's what made me think, oh, hey, maybe I should stream some builds. But I don't know. A whole lot gets edited out in these videos of me struggling to do these things. So that was the living room. Living room finished. My whole idea for decorating the inside of this house is that it's the 1960s. This was built specifically to be a house for parties and entertaining, as was very popular in the 1960s. You had your fondue parties, and you had key parties, and people just getting together and playing tabletop games and drinking. So I really wanted this to be, I wanted to think that like The Sims had this house built specifically for it to be a party house. So the living room has the conversation pit. It's got the game table area. It has a very tiny area for watching TV, because from what I remember from that time period, that wasn't like a big thing. Like maybe the family would gather around the TV at the end of the night and watch the news or watch a specific program that they were interested in. And that was about it. And I know that TV stopped broadcasting nightly after the evening news. So it wasn't as much of an entertainment feature as it is today. So I felt like the small little TV area in the living room would have been sufficient. I really loved this kitchen. I don't like yellow, so that grated on my nerves a little bit. But I really like how the kitchen turned out. And you'll see it reflected in the screenshots. I do go back and change the overhead lighting in that kitchen, because even though you really don't notice all of those lights in gameplay, it felt so busy and anxiety inducing to me to have that many light fixtures in the kitchen. And I ran into that problem a lot in the downstairs area with the big open rooms, that I had to have a lot of light fixtures to bring in enough light. So I do change those so that you don't have the big multiple light fixtures down there, and you do have plenty of light. I apologize. I'm struggling with allergies, and for some reason it's given me a little bit of a lisp. And I just noticed saying fixtures wasn't coming out well. Anyway, this is, I had the idea that the children would have their own wing of the house, so that for parties they can shoo the kids off. They're not allowed anywhere else except for their bedrooms and their playroom area. So my thought was this was a teenage girl's room, and she's right at that age where she's coming out of the cutesy kid stuff and trying to figure out what her personality is, and if she wants to lean more towards hippie or punk, which was popular at the time, kind of rebelling against her parents. But that was kind of my idea for this bedroom, and that's why it's kind of a mixture of different styles from the 60s. Also, I felt in that one corner where the pennant was, that maybe, she's coming out of the era, almost getting ready to decide if she wants to go to university or not. And she was a cheerleader. So I don't think I show it in the video, but I do have a couple pom-poms up on the wall there, and a blue ribbon and an award to show that she was big into cheerleading, and that's a thing that she did and got awards for it and everything. But now she's trying to move away from that and be her own person. Maybe that was something that her parents encouraged her to do. I don't know. Maybe I think about these stories for these Sims way too much when I'm decorating the houses, but it helps me with the little details. And then I felt like their second child wasn't planned. He was a little bit of a surprise. And so we have like an older teenager getting ready to go into college, getting ready to age up. And we have a toddler. And so I did the toddler's room in dinosaurs, blue and orange and green. It was hard for me to figure out a theme for the toddler room that kind of felt like it fit in the 1960s. But I think maybe I got there in the end. And like, this is their play area. I really wanted to use those sparkly lights from the where did that come from? Love Struck? Is it from the Love Struck pack? I think it might be. The ones that they're supposed to look like starlight. They have ceiling ones too, which actually, spoilers, I use in my next build that you're going to see, which I'm absolutely completely in love with the next build. But this one, I also decided that then on the other side of the children's wing, on the side where the primary bedroom is, we have guest rooms. So we've got 2 guest rooms. The green room and the pink and teal room share this Jack and Jill bathroom that I'm decorating now. And I actually really like the layout of this Jack and Jill. I think it turned out kind of cute. And the guest rooms, they don't have a lot of details in them. They don't have a lot of clutter. But I felt like that would have been appropriate because they're guest bedrooms. However, if you have a larger Sims family that you're wanting to move into this house and play, it would be super easy to, kind of personalize these guest bedrooms and turn them into the, actual bedrooms for your other Sims. But I built this in theory of having like a 4-Sim family. So the guest bedrooms kind of repeat a little bit as far as their furnishings. They have the same style of curtains. The colors change, but they're basically, a bed, some end tables, a chest of drawers, and each one has a stack of towels and some lotions. I felt like maybe it would be like, toiletries for your guests and a stack of towels for them to use in the bathroom, so that each one kind of had kind of like a bed and breakfast kind of vibe, but not really. I felt like that might be a good thing to add for guest rooms. The fun thing that I did like about decorating this house is that I used wallpapers and flooring and furniture and decorations that I never ever use in any of the other builds, because I never feel like they fit with anything else. I don't want to say they're ugly, but they're not my style. They're not things that I would particularly choose for builds. And then beside the last guest bedroom, the red, you have another bathroom that's accessible from the hallway, so that 2 of the guest bedrooms share the Jack and Jill bathroom, and then you have an extra bathroom there for the other guest bedroom. And now we're working on the primary bathroom, which, of course, more platforms, because why not? It's the 60s. I do like the way how this bathroom turned out. You'll see it in the screenshots. I don't think you see it while I'm building, but I go back after the fact, after I have the bathroom actually finished, and add a bubble wall on the side of the tub there, to the right of the tub, on the wall by the door. And I don't know, I really liked that. I thought it turned out really kind of cute. I kind of want that in my bathroom, although I don't have just like an open standalone tub like that. I've got like the tub shower combo in my house in the primary ensuite bathroom. But I don't know, I've had trouble. I've had the video part edited for like a week. Okay, I'm gonna be real with you. And I've been dragging my feet on coming and sitting down and doing the voiceover part for this video, because number one, I really didn't like this house, even though I do like doing decades builds. Like, this house has definitely been one of my least favorite builds I've ever done. And I hope that doesn't offend anybody who like loves this build, because I don't know. I didn't want to sit down and talk about it. And number two, it ended up being a longer video, and I didn't want to sit here. The thought of having to sit here and yap for 30 minutes just, it made my anxiety so high, because I'm like, what am I going to talk about? I'm going to get in there and I'm going to start recording, and I'm not going to know what to say. And I don't know. So I'm glad that I made myself finally sit down and record the voiceover for this. But I wanted the primary bedroom. I wanted to use a whole lot of the Love Struck stuff for the primary bedroom. And I didn't end up using a lot of the Love Struck stuff, but that bed, I had to use that throwback bed, the love bed. And I had to go with like what I would call gaudy red and black cheetah. Is that a cheetah print theme, or is that leopard print? I always get leopards and cheetahs confused. I think it might be cheetah. But like, I had to, because there's no way I would ever use that ever in any of my other builds. I don't know. So, I mean, so that's another reason why there was a love-hate relationship with this build, because like some stuff was fun because it's, I got to use stuff that I don't normally use, that I would never use. But at the same time, like, I would finish a room and I would look at it and think to myself, oh my gosh, this is hideous. This is so ugly. I hate this so much. And I mean, it's really not bad. Now, one thing you won't see on video that you're catching a glimpse of there to the left that's blue is like the hallway for the second floor. What do you call it? Like the landing area coming up the stairs. And there's the only reason I didn't include that in the video, I cut it out, was because there's really not much going on there. I've got some shelves with bowling trophies. I've got a little bench that you can sit on, tucked in behind the stairs there that you can see to the right going up. There is a small desk with a computer, in air quotes there, computer. It looks like a typewriter. So there's not much going on in there, but I do include screenshots of it. Now we have like the bonus room, which is at the very top, your third story here, which is kind of like a third story, second story, because it's over top of the carport area. So whatever you want to call it. But I felt like at this point, I like to try to include a washer and dryer in all of my builds, just for like reality's sake. I don't like that the washing machine and the dryer look modern. I would love to have a retro looking washing machine and dryer in the game, but I don't think that's anywhere on high priority for anybody else but me. But that's fine. So I wanted to do this top floor as an art studio, mainly because I was really excited. I haven't got to use the stuff from the new artist studio kit yet. So I was really excited to play around with that. And I think it turned out really cute. And my thought behind all of that was, I feel like, I don't know what the jobs would be for the people to be able to afford a house this big, but maybe one is a very talented artist, because art was a big thing in the 1960s. You have a lot of famous artists that were very popular in the 1960s, which interestingly, like, you know, the classical artists and stuff, they were I can't pronounce that word. After death, they were is when they gained popularity and their art became worth more. But the 50s and 60s, as I recall, had a lot of artists that were actually popular and their art was sought after at the time they were still alive. Like, you know, Andy Warhol and I can't think of any others right now, but I know there were more. Was he 60s or was he 50s? Maybe a little bit of both. Anyway, I really like the way this art studio turned out. And I thought, you know, maybe one of them is a famous artist. And I added the little pottery wheel and kiln back there in the laundry area, as in maybe the wife is into pottery. And he's like, oh yeah, you can have a little section of my art studio back there by the washer and dryer. That's your area. I don't know. That was my thought process for this. But the house, I mean, it turned out okay overall, I feel. There are some good elements to it. I just don't like the 1960s aesthetic. I think is one of the reasons why I waited so long to do an actual 1960s build. And I was at a loss as to what to do with this little piece of yard out here by the pool. So I decided to turn it into kind of a kids area, and I thought it'd be really cool to have a playground splash pad area out here for the kids, and of course the slip and slide. Although I'm not sure if I didn't do research if the slip and slide was invented in the 60s or the 70s. That might have been a 70s thing, so that might not be correct. But I still put it because I thought it looked cute, and there we go. There's not much landscaping on this one or terrain paint because modernist houses went in one of two directions. There was no in between. It was either very, very, very sparse landscaping, as in like a couple plants and nothing else, or it was a freaking jungle. And as long as it took me to do this build, as much as time that I spent on it, and I just really just wanted to be done with it, I decided to go the route of we're not going to do any landscaping. And honestly, I think it kind of fit this build, especially with the fact that like right off the lot, it has the row of palm trees lining the one side and the hedges around the back and then the hedges around the other side. It seemed like there wouldn't be much landscaping, which I very much enjoyed not having to landscape this one very much. It was a nice change. Now, my next build coming up, the one that I absolutely love, is going to be very heavily landscaped. And I built a pond, my first pond. So look out for that one. It's coming up next. Thank you so much for joining me today. Here are your screenshots. The lighting in them's not great. I think it was like an overcast day. Seasons, what are you going to do? But here's your 1960s Modernist. It's up on the gallery. It has been play tested. Of course, there's no CC because I play on PlayStation. So feel free to download it, play in it, and I will see you in the next one. Pixie Dusted, as always, on the gallery if you want to download it. So bye now.